Hello, everybody. Welcome to Beyond BMR. Of course, I'm your host, Bigfoot Michigan Rob BMR. Of course, joining me, of course, is the lovely Krista from the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast. Thanks to everybody for coming on in to the show tonight. We got a cool Halloween themed show. Werewolves, vampires, everything macabre. Yes. Varla Ventura is my guest multiple times on the show, a fan favorite. I just love Varla. It's going to be a fantastic show. Thanks to everybody for coming on in. If it is your first time here, please subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob on YouTube, the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast on YouTube. Donnie Show says stuff, Paranormal Paul, our Paranormal World, Monica Rollins, and of course, Texas Front Porch, Truth or Tinfoil. The Blondes and the Booze have a new show on the Blondes and Booze, a different channel. 4 Blondes, 1 mystery at a time, which is cool. It debuted a couple Thursdays ago. Go check them out and subscribe. Hit that like button, everybody. Leave a comment after the show. Of course, the super chat is open. And you know what? Mark Z Hammer, he already started the show with a super chat. Thanks to Mark. Halloween show. Thanks, Mark, buddy. For all those out there who bought my books, Bigfoot Michigan represents True Cryptid Encounters. Book 1 and Book 2, you get them on Amazon. Type Bigfoot Michigan Robbie in your Amazon browser. That's right. Leave a review for those that bought it. It does help increase book sales. You too, mateys, can become BMR pirates. Join the many, join the few, depending on your point of view. Yeah, get a picture of BMR sporting a bandana in the chat room. Yes, that's what you get. Thanks to everybody. Love y'all. And if you're new, please subscribe. Of course, we're going to get this puppy started. I'm going to bring up, Krista, who I haven't seen in forever, it seems.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, Krista. How are you?
Hey, I was here last Tuesday.
Were you? Well, yeah, you're on every Tuesday, but I missed you on Saturday. It seems forever when I don't see your smiling face.
Well, thank you. I'll be missing this Saturday again.
I know.
So, yep.
Duty calls. I get it. That's why we have 3. I have 3 of the lovely ladies with me because typically
Brandon and Monica.
Typically, one of you y'all interchange, which is awesome. That's why I set it up that way, anyways.
Yep. Hey, Sparky.
Hi, Sparky, Mickey G, Amy Creel, first matey of the chat room. Of course, Mickey G. I said Gary Spikes, Pops, Pops, Paranormal Paul, Wizard Moon, Bigfoot Fades. You know, I don't know. I know it's Bigfoot Fades. I was calling her Bigfoot Fidesz for the longest time. But then I realized it's Fades. Well, actually, Monica corrected me, as she always does. Paula, you. Hello, Paula. How are you? Diane Boss is in the house. Quack. Hey, Quack. Jason Finch, the Finchter. Scrolling down, I can't call you out if you're not chatting, but there's already almost 45 of you in here to start the show, which is an awesome start. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Krista, how was your weekend?
My weekend, I had a great weekend.
You had a great weekend. I did too. I electrocuted myself.
Oh shoot!
Yeah, I did.
I was a good weekend. Good grief, Rob.
Yeah, no, this time of year is when I have to.
Thanks, man.
Thank you ever so much for that. That rocks. Yes, I'm working some new technology. Look at that,
man. You're growing up because
I'm growing up in this world.
I don't even know how to do that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know how I figured out how to do it. I'm stupid with technology. I will admit that. I freely admit that.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I was doing my bushes right in the front yard and in the backyard as I typically do this time of year, and I've got a 100-foot cord. And every year, this will be the 4th year in a row. For 3 straight years, I managed to get that cord wound up in the blade. And I get a little shock, and I always have to go back to Lowe's and buy a new cord. So this is my 4th year, and I was doing very well. I'm an hour into it, and I'm kind of like, all right, Rob, you managed not to snap the cord or cut the cord with the blade.
Right.
So I was getting cocky, and I'm whipping this cord around like gangbusters. Mm-hmm. And I caught it in the blade, and I caught it deep, and it shocked me where I fell on the ground, and my forearm seized up. The muscles contracted, and I saw stars.
I bet you did.
And I woke up. Wow.
Yeah, no kidding. Good grief, man.
So I was off to Lowe's, bought my 4th straight cord. Then I go in the back and I have to trim this 8-foot bush, and I'm on the top rung of the stairs and this of the stair top of the ladder,
Right.
and it's wobbling, and BMR is going down. So before I hit the ground, I jump off, and I like my cat-like reflexes, boom, they came into play, and I landed appropriately. But then when I got up, I realized I sprained my left ankle. So yeah, it was kind of a great week. Great weekend.
Sounds like it. Good grief. Hey, can I say something real quick? Just so I can the typer. So free your mind to see. I got your email, and I have been super busy, and I will get back with you this week. I assure you. I promise you. So just want to throw that out there real quick that I did get her email. It's me slacking.
Well, hey, we all get busy, and I've got 50 emails I've yet to open. Mickey says we're going to wrap you in bubble wrap.
There you go, Rob. Mickey's right.
Well, enough of that. I had to tell everybody that funny story. Lucky, I didn't go to the doctor, but I'm going to bring up the lovely Varla.
Bring up Varla.
Hello, Varla.
Hello. That is not a funny story. That's a terrible story. I don't like that story at all.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, no, I guess. It wasn't funny at the time, but I figured it'd be good content to start the show.
Yeah, it's still not funny, actually.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm glad you care.
I do. That's terrible. Terrible.
Yeah.
I did with a wobbly ladder. That's just Yeah,
it was on level ground.
Okay. I thought you were going to say you electrocuted yourself putting up like a ton of Halloween lights.
No.
It's the cord thing. And I actually remember you doing this last year.
Oh, you do. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Hey, Miranda is asking, she wants to buy a book from you. Do you have the link posted on top?
I have book 2 link up top. Yeah.
Okay. But she wants one signed.
Well, I got books here at the house. Give me Facebook me or beyondbmr@gmail.com. That's down here in the scrolling thing. I could hook you up somehow. We'll work it out because I have them here. I can mail one out to you.
Absolutely. I have one question before we really get on with the show. Did you ever let that damn cat in?
I haven't seen the cat in a couple days.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it though. Next time I see the poor fella or girl, I don't know which it is. Very cute though.
Well, if it's a boy, you'll have to get it neutered or just spray all over your house.
Well, it loves me. It's just I haven't seen him in 2 days. I'm kind of disappointed.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I hope he comes back.
I got a bunch of stray cats that roam the area where I live, Varla. Some are feral and very mean, and they're just arr. But there's this really cute one that it's under a year old. I can tell it's not yet a wild beast like a lot of them.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about taking it in, but I
totally should.
He sent a picture of the cat. I'm like, let the damn thing in.
I sent you a picture.
Yeah. Oh, what does it look like?
It's emerald green eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got grayish white stripes running through it.
Oh, yeah, you should just put that cat in.
That's right.
Well, I know that's what all you girls have been telling me.
Yeah. Well, I've been busy trying to lure the crows into my yard. I have 2 cats already, but I've been trying to. There's a couple of crows in particular, and so and my son has had actually better success with it than I have, which is fine. Which is boy. That's how it works. But we have this shiny tin pan that we put various foods and things in, and then I've been trying to do this ritual where I like hit the pan so they know that it's the sound, and then I've been ooching it more and more into my more into my property line because there's kind of an empty lot next door to me. So yeah, that's my personal goal right now.
That's really cool though, and crows are very, very smart.
Yes, they are.
So that's awesome. You'll have to keep us updated on the crows.
I want them to do my bidding or bring me shiny things or just hang out with me.
There you go.
Or all of the above.
There you go.
And also, I'll just do you one better. I have 2,500 unread emails in my inbox.
Oh, my 2,500.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, you got me beat.
Yep. So haven't gotten back to you folks. That's why I'm actually on deadline right now to finish another book. It's due October 31st, and everything else has been woefully neglected as a result. So if it's not an emergency or something that can't wait a week, it's, it's going to wait a week.
And there is Varla's link for all her books, right, Varla? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's my website, varlaventura.net. My books are available wherever books are sold. And
yeah. And I happened to get your last copy. As you know, the last time you were on, we talked about this book, which is an awesome
Enchanted
show.
Plants.
Right. It's a beautiful binder. Look at the gold. It's got pretty pictures. I mean, boy, it's an awesome book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
I'm so glad you got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
And I noticed you've been on a little tour of your own lately, promoting a lot of your stuff. You've been doing
I did a tour in May, and then I was just back out for about a week in mostly in Massachusetts, doing sort of a fall tour. So that book lends itself to a lot of different topics. And so this time I had sort of like Witch's Garden, and I had this one presentation. It was the botany of werewolves, witches, and vampires. And I drew on information from the book and kind of, just kind of put that together separately. I have another one coming up that's just called The Witch's Garden, and it's creatures and plants and poison and medicine and all that stuff. So it's great because you can kind of, I also have like a whole, there's a bunch of plants in there that are related to like Yule and winter rituals. So I kind of have like different seasonal approaches to the topics in that book. So it lends itself really nicely, and there's beautiful illustrations in it. So you can make this gorgeous slideshow and regale everyone with nerdy botany facts and folkloric facts that may or may not be in the book because, there's just so many of them.
Right.
Oh. Yeah, you do a great job. You have lots of great books out there. So yeah, go check out Varla, of course, again, as I put her website up there. And if I could I should pin it some. I got to figure out how to do that. But anyways, thanks, Varla. And yeah, today, I titled the show Monsters, the Monster Mash and Mayhem. We're going to get into some creepy stuff. But I don't know if I've ever asked you this in the past. And I've seen you on other shows as well, of course. But I don't think asked you about whether you were a young girl or growing up as a younger adult. How did you actually get involved in the creepiness and the mysteries of this stuff?
Well, it's so interesting because I was just actually at a paranormal movie premiere the other night, and I was mingling with people afterwards, and time and time again, people's stories are that they've come to sort of the greater paranormal because they felt like an outsider, or they felt like they had an experience that didn't fit in with, whatever their family's beliefs or anything like that. And for me, it's a little different. My mom is a practicing witch. I was, using a Ouija board at a young age. I spent a lot of time in cemeteries. We used to picnic in cemeteries, walk around cemeteries, make up stories about all of the people in the cemeteries, look at the different names. Books on the shelf were, everything from like Sybil Leek. I remember reading Diary of a Witch when I was a teenager. The Crowley's books, Dion Fortune. My mom did my astrological chart before she put anything else in my baby book, So I was really immersed. So for me, this is a place of like comfort and normalcy. And it really wasn't until, so I had a little bit of an opposite experience because it really wasn't until I was a bit older, maybe like a young adult, that I realized not everyone had that experience. And so I would casually say something about, someone's astrological sign. And I came to understand that there's millions of people who are interested in it and millions of people who have dedicated their lives to learning it. And everybody comes to it from a different place. But I kind of had, just sort of an opposite experience where I realized that my upbringing was not normal. Comparatively. And there's really only like one or two other people I've met in my life. One is a very good friend of mine who's an artist. whose mother is an astrologer, and he was kind of raised also with this sort of base lexicon of occultism that that other people kind of came to later as they began to study it. So that's and of course, like, thrown in with that is watching all the old Frankenstein movies and all the Boris Karloff movies, all the Bela Lugosi movies.
Oh yeah.
Growing up watching, child of the 80s watching like the Goonies, Witches of Eastwick, Hocus Pocus, Beetlejuice, all of those things on repeat. Got the Ghostbusters. It's all memorized. So that always just felt like a really good, safe place to me. I still go to cemeteries constantly just to clear my head. I was just in.
Can I ask you a question really quick?
Yeah.
You mentioned the Ouija board.
Yes.
And me personally, I've used them before. I don't use them. I don't recommend people use them, but I believe they're just a tool, and I believe it's your intention. So everybody says, Ouija boards are bad. I don't believe it's the board is bad. I believe people don't know how to use it correctly. So I was just curious as to what your thoughts on that.
I would agree with that. I think it's just another tool, and it can be used. It can be very effective. How it works is still a mystery to me. I'm not entirely convinced it's not kinetic energy, at least some of the time. So mind energy. I find them fascinating. I do use them. I have used them. I have abused them. I'll be honest.
I would expect nothing less than that from you, Varla.
But I do agree. I think so. Here's the thing. Traditionally, using a spirit board or a Ouija board, especially during like the advent of spiritualism in the 1840s, 1850s, when it really became popular, there was always a medium present. It was not just a bunch of people just sitting around curious doing their thing. There was always someone who, whether they were trained or not, but there was always somebody who was designated as the medium, as the conduit. And that is the person that opens the circle and closes the circle. And then, it's mass produced. It's overnight, greatest thing for a gaggle of girls sleepover. And then, of course, you have movies like The Conjuring that totally made it look like this portal. And so, but I think it is also in the intention of using it, and it can be misused, and it can be just like any kind of psychic tool, really. It can be sort of abused, right? Or, used. And so having somebody who is sort of like, it's like with any kind of seance or ghost hunt or anything like that, like you usually need someone there that can like ground the situation so you don't get hangers on or whatever. So frequently for myself, I mean, I've used it alone before, but I feel that I can be that grounded person. So I guess I'm in agreement. It's the other thing about the Ouija board that's different than almost any other tool. And I'm not talking about modern tools like little EVP readers and things like that talk back to you, or ghost boxes. But as far as like scrying or divinatory tools, you have the tarot, and the tarot has pictures, and it's got some pretty powerful messages in there, but you kind of have to know how to read them. The Ouija board has words like goodbye and yes and no and letters. And it's like a fast track to communication. I think that freaks us out a little bit. Whereas a lot of the other divinatory tools are maybe like a pendulum, and you establish yes and no, or scrying rods, and you ask a question and you respond to that. But with the Ouija board, it's like a language talking right to us. And I think that scares us.
I was just curious your thoughts on it, because, a lot of people, believe they're bad and they're bad energy. And I just don't. I feel like
I don't either. No.
Using it, and if you know how to use it properly, then okay. But I don't agree with teenagers just going at it, because they could open up something that they couldn't close.
Oh, I'm 100% sure I am responsible for opening at least 3 portals in my hometown.
Oh,
Sorry, Nevada City. That's just how it is.
But I think that's true too. Of course, the Ouija board. I think and I've learned this a long time ago from the girls, right? And yourself even, probably your intention is everything, right?
Mm.
If your intent is nefarious, then you'll get some bad things, right? But
and it's also not even nefarious, it can be just sort of irresponsible.
Oh, sure. Okay.
And that's the kind of like the party atmosphere of it, where people aren't really, you don't have to take it totally seriously, but if you're taking it like too lightly, that's when you can run into trouble.
Right. Absolutely. Yep.
Have you ever come across, you do a lot of meditation and you feel at home at the cemetery and all these other things you've done in your lifetime. Have you ever come across anything personally out in the cemetery with spirits, or maybe brought them home, or what are a couple of those? Or maybe not brought home, but
I brought them home.
In general.
I did have a psychic tell me a few years ago that I brought something home from the astral plane.
Ooh, okay. The astral plane?
Yeah. She said, I don't know. There's like a big black entity attached to you on your right side, and I think you accidentally picked it up on the astral plane. And I was like, all right, can you clear it? And she's like, yeah, no problem. So, hey, you got to know people. You got to know the right people.
Yep.
As far as spirits in the cemeteries, yes, I would say less than you would think. Yep. But there is a cemetery very close to my house that there's just something that I encounter when I walk through there. I've been walking through there for, several years now. And it's like, I describe it as the opposite of chills. I bet you've had this experience, Krista, where instead of being met with chills, you are actually met with like this overwhelming wash of warmth, as if you're hit, as if sunlight is hitting you on a cold day.
Oh yeah.
And so there's one spirit in the cemetery that right about the same spot. Not every time I go, but I'd say like 80% of the time when I'm there, there's this, and I haven't figured out who it is. I've walked around, and I'm not like super intuitive, so I walk around and I can't like say, oh, for sure it's this grave or that grave.
Right.
But there's sort of a general area I get the feeling from, and it just feels so good. I actually love it. It's a kind of like really, it almost brings me to tears because it's just like such a beautiful feeling. Yeah. So I've had that in cemeteries, absolutely. There's one cemetery I discovered in St. Paul recently that actually scares me.
Ooh.
Wow.
And I do not scare easily. It's sort of semi-neglected. And it has some really, really weird vibes there. Really, really weird vibes. Like I would not want to be in that. I don't mind being alone there in the day. I would not want to be alone in that cemetery at night. And generally I like being alone in the cemetery at night. But this one is just like there's a murdery vibe there that scares me. Yeah. So I kind of avoid that.
My thoughts on cemeteries. So I don't think they're like, I like going to cemeteries. I like checking stuff out. But I feel like, once we pass away, our spirit goes elsewhere. But then I feel like, when we do go to the cemetery, to visit a loved one, it's all negative adjectives, sorrow, sadness, depression. So I feel like it could bring in other things, just
I think that's
the negativity that goes with the cemetery,
Yeah, I mean, well, so that's one of the things I love about cemetery, though, is that you can cry there and no one judges you. It's like it's a great place to cry when you're just like overwhelmed. Why cry in the shower when you could cry in a cemetery? No one will approach you. But yeah, I think what I really love about cemeteries, and for me, what is the not the non-sorrowful experience, is to I was just walking around one yesterday, and these names, I just like saying the names out loud. Like this person's name was like Ivory Hammerstein or something. It was just like this incredible name I'd never heard before. And just walking around and just sort of saying their names. And that's what I used to do as a little kid. We used to walk around and we would visit loved ones, and then we would sort of invent who is this person, and did they know this person, and we just sort of invent stories. It's kind of like the writer in me was born there. And I do often get character names from headstones, so I think a lot of writers do that.
I think that's a good point. And really quickly, little Patty asked Krista and Varla, y'all think it's weird because she likes going to cemeteries?
No, Patty, that's not weird at all.
No, not
that's
at all.
Wonderful. I would like to do that with you.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing to do.
Right?
Oh, and when you can, and when, oh gosh, I had so much fun in New England. I actually need to make myself a bumper sticker that says I break for cemeteries, because I'd be on this little road and all of a sudden I'd see a cemetery and I would literally break. And if somebody's tailgating you, well, but there are all these wonderful old headstones in New England that have like these very long epitaphs, right? So you can you're getting down on the ground and you're trying to read them, and it's just so fun to try and read them out loud. And if you're there with someone, you're like trying to decipher them together, and it's like a great adventure. And then just identifying certain names, and then you drive around and you see the streets and you're like, okay, this person was significant, or it's a big part of history. So yeah, it's cool, Patty. It makes you cool, in my opinion.
And not to mention, the word weird is embraced on this show anyway. So if anyone thinks it's weird, more power to you.
Yeah.
The
weirder the better.
The weirder the better.
It's a personal motto of mine.
Yes, I like
just
the
to
motto.
throw this out there, Rob, too. I haven't seen my cat all day until she hears your voice.
See, I
tell
you.
That energy. That's funny. I've got a cat curled up in the corner down here. Usually the cats all go out during interviews because they get restless. But I've got a little one curled up down over here.
Not this thing. Every show she likes to make her appearance on.
See if he
I guess kitty cats like me. I mean, because Krista's always curls up when I'm on, or when he hears my voice, and now Varla with your little kitty. I mean, and then the one that's been kind of.
I think you should name it.
Right?
Yeah.
You should name it.
You should, Rob.
They should come up with a name. Oh, I was calling it kitty cat the other day.
Come up with something better than that.
That was the first thing that popped in my head. Hi, kitty cat. Hi, kitty cat. Oh, go figure. Here's kitty catty wax in the chat room. Hi, kitty cat.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that name. We're not criticizing.
No, I know. No, I know we're not. I know. Hey, Benno.
Hello, everybody coming in.
So thanks everyone for coming on in tonight. Varla Ventura, of course, I got her link for all the books, a lot of great books. And you're into folklore. You've had all these experiences. You're an awesome writer, successful at what you do.
Thank you.
And no problem. And it is a Halloween show, and on these shows you like dabbling in with the werewolves, the vampires, and you dabble into the folklore. And we always say this, not to sound redundant, but folklore stems from some sort of truth. I believe that.
Yeah.
So what is your take? Do you think that let's start first. I know we're going to talk some werewolves a little bit later.
Oh yeah.
But what about
some werewolf?
Yeah, I know you do. We got some werewolf surprises coming up, everybody. Yes, so stay tuned. That's how we keep you hanging, right?
Right.
But no, though, seriously, though, vampires. Now, again, I love vampires. I'm like you, Varla. When I grew up, it was Bela Lugosi, Lon Chaney, and Boris Karloff. And all those three popular movies. Loved them all. My dad brought up me and my brother on it, and I was hooked ever since I was 5 or 6 years old. And vampires is probably my number one go-to. I always try to find everything I can on vampires. And we've got the undead, and we've got the spiritual side, the energy vampires, and all this and the other. out in Europe, though, do you think was there? Okay, let me ask you this: is there such a thing as the undead?
Oh, sure. I'm going to go with yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think that there's a whole sort of realm. Like if you look into like Irish folklore, for example, there are vampires in Irish lore, and they are spirits of the undead, but they sort of become part of that other world, the other world where the fairies and the three-headed werewolves and other strange creatures dwell. So there's not a huge divide. There's a divide between the land of the living and the dead and the fairy kingdom, but there's this other world where all of these creatures live, and they're not necessary. It's not a good versus evil kind of thing, but there certainly are characteristics that humans might be turned off by. But actually, you know, the idea that we have today of vampires is largely built on Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yep.
And he drew from a variety of sources. So he was Irish, and there are stories of Irish vampires, these sort of like insatiable, bloodthirsty spirits, sometimes like a greedy king who was cruel and then eventually was buried, but had to be buried twice. Sort of like there's all kinds of like ghostly stories like that. So you have this already built into folklore. And by the way, like in my opinion, folklore is just it's just the wisdom of the people.
Yeah.
Without, you know, the doctrine of the church, changing the narrative.
Okay.
So you have that. And then he also drew heavily upon Transylvanian lore. And actually at the time I recently discovered this, that there was I don't have her name right now, but there was a Scottish writer, a woman who did extensive research on Transylvanian folklore. And it was around the time, it would have been just before Bram Stoker was working on Dracula. So I think that also it influenced. So he had that. Then you, of course, know about Vlad the Impaler, who was the, like, you know, bloodthirsty Transylvanian sort of king who put everybody's heads on spikes and basically like ruled the land. So you had like all of these things that he drew upon because he was a wonderful writer and very, very creative, and was really interested in vampires, and created this whole idea of this vampire that would actually cross oceans of time to be with you, right? So there was all of that going on, and so today what we have is heavily based on that. When we think of a vampire, we are thinking of a version that was influenced by Bram Stoker. However, it does date back prior to that. And there's a very interesting story about corn, if you would believe that.
Okay.
Corn is indigenous to the Americas. It was introduced into Europe probably like, you know, post-colonialism. So the 1600s, seeds were brought back. The Mayan were cultivating corn like 9,000 years ago. Like they basically were horticultural masters. So anyway, corn gets introduced to Europe, and it is it does really well, in particular in the Mediterranean. So now we're in like the 17th century, the Mediterranean, and corn is just like growing. It's a fast crop, right? You can grow like you can go from seed to harvest in just a matter of months, and then it's easy to preserve. Right. You can use it in all these different ways. There's a process involved, and indigenous people throughout the Americas use this in a couple different ways. You either put lime of some kind in, or you put ash. You actually put ash into whatever you were cooking when you were cooking the corn. And this is a process called nixtamalization, which is what it's called. Happens today. Today you get the corn. It's happened to it already. I mean, there's nothing wrong with eating raw corn, but what happens when you use this process is it breaks down something in the corn, and it releases the niacin, the B vitamins, which are really, really essential for like a variety of things. this step was left out when corn was introduced to Europe, whether it was ignored, which is my bet. And we wouldn't put ash in our food, or it was just overlooked. In any case, ash wasn't added to the food, or lime wasn't added to the food. So this process of nixtamalization wasn't happening. And so what was happening is, especially in poorer parts of Italy, we think polenta, right? That's an Italian dish. Well, corn was introduced there, and it was very filling. You could eat it. You could work all day, heavy in carbohydrates, super cheap to grow. But without this process, especially some people, not everyone, they became very sick because they had a niacin deficiency. It became known as a disease called pellagra. And the symptoms of pellagra are sensitivity to sunlight, confusion, quick to anger, bloodthirstiness, strange sores and lesions all over the body, and extreme pale pallor. And this actually fed what, you've heard of the witch craze that happened in Europe. And of course we had one in the United States, the witch craze. There was a vampire craze, and it was quite huge in Italy in the 17th century. And this disease, pellagra, was a huge part of that. And if you were to look up some old illustrations, you would see some rather Nosferatu-like images of people with this disease. And it's happened again. It happened in the Appalachians in the 1920s. There was another outbreak of it. But it's really just missing this key ingredient. So that fueled with already a belief in vampires. And so like, that's why to this day at archaeological digs, they'll still find in Italy, there'll be someone buried with a brick in their mouth, which was a means of keeping a vampire down.
I've even seen where they were chained down inside the coffin.
Yeah. Keep them down. And then the other fun thing I love about that sort of that vampire lore is our lack of understanding of rigor mortis, of course. Right. And so I recently read that this was in Scotland, and I think in other parts of probably England as well, and possibly Wales. When bodies, it was traditional, when bodies were laid to rest, women were laid with their arms at their side, and men were laid with their arms across their chest like this. Gotcha. So now you can imagine that you're popping open a coffin because you think there might be a nice watch or something in there, or you're stealing a body for the medical community. And you pop the coffin open, and you don't have any understanding of rigor mortis, and the body actually springs up, and it's like this, right? It's like springing forward with the arms across the chest, which is that's the Nosferatu imagery right there. Again, Bram Stoker is drawing on this very common phenomenon. I mean, there was grave robbing going on constantly. A lot of it at the behest of the, top secret medical community, because that's how they were learning, they were performing autopsies and things, which was considered an abomination. So, yeah, fun. Wow. So vampires are real, but there's all of these elements. And I think vampires probably more than any other like sort of monster or whatever that we have, they have evolved, but in this very specific way, drawing on all of these elements. But the idea of the undead, that goes back eons, right? Like you got zombies, you got and the fear of being buried alive. So that's everybody's like worst fear, right? So being buried alive. So then like imagine if you were buried alive and, you had to stick your hand up through the dirt, kind of,
Do you think there's any truth, or, we've all seen the movies about, okay, I'm going to say probably not human, right? I mean, but do you think that maybe out there is some sort of monster or vampire that really, back in the day, that was maybe more of a shapeshifter? That was maybe plagued by black magic, and it literally goes and seeks human souls and takes them?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things that seek human souls.
Right.
I mean, that's...
Well, vampire, I just said
Yeah.
that's just on the subject. Vampire, we could be
Fun of
anything
it.
though.
But the yeah, I mean, well, the idea of the vampire shapeshifting into the bat, like that's another aspect. That's not really in Dracula. I don't think there's
No, I don't think that is.
I don't think there's any bats in Dracula, but vampire bats, which I believe are native to South America, those were not something that were as known until like kind of post-Victorian times, where they actually found these creatures that were blood sucking. And then that's when the sort of like, oh, the shape-shifting element, but also the idea that vampires are sensitive to light and they have to go out at night. So I never say never. I really can't anymore. Especially because the deeper you get into folklore and the more that you talk with people and the deeper understanding that you have of, yes, some things are symbolic. And, there's a very popular idea in anthropology that, we tell you the stories about the bog monster so the kids don't go into the bog. And that's a very popular idea, like that there's a cultural reason and it's a means of protection. And I think that is true to a certain extent, but I think that that's a very dismissive approach toward original stories and where things are coming from. And we in Western culture have this insatiable need for evidence. Just this insatiable need for evidence. And yet we are talking about things that, you're probably going to have to just take my word for it that something just tapped me on my shoulder because you can't feel it. And which is kind of the beautiful thing about communities like this, because we can kind of agree that, okay, I might not believe every single thing every person tells me, but I know what experiences I've had. And so who am I to draw the line in the sand, right? Like, who am I to say that, there's not a vampire swooping around outside my house right now? That'd be so awesome.
But you're right about because we don't know what people's experiences are. That's such a great example about just something so simple like getting tapped on your shoulder by something. You don't know what it is, but you got that feeling, right?
Yeah.
And it's something like that, and I believe that happens all the time with people.
Right. And I just have to choose to believe that it happened to you because it's happened to me, or to not disbelieve, because so that's kind of I think the thing I love about, like, I call myself a supernaturalist because I can't prove anything.
Right.
And I love it. I don't want to prove anything. I just want to, like, talk about the stories and experience it and retell the stories and hear other people's stories and learn more.
I agree. It's not for me too. With all these things we talk about, I'm not so much in all this evidence. Yeah, I mean, there's certain things that I'd like to see some evidence, but me personally, I like the mystery behind it all. And what is exactly evidence anyway? I mean, like if I had a personal experience happen to me that I seen this, that, and the other, and I have no evidence to back it, but it happened to me, and I talk about it every day or every year. Hey, it happened to me. You can't take that from me. It's up to you to believe it or not. And like you said, I love doing these shows like this because we're not the only ones out there where these exact same things have happened to.
Yeah. And I think also, like, what is more lovely than sitting around a campfire and hearing people's ghost stories or hearing their encounters or just having them tell you my favorite stories are the ones that are like this. All right. I don't nothing like this has ever happened to me before.
Okay.
And I don't know what to make of this, but I'm going to tell you what happened. And then it turns out to be like this insane, freaky thing with like a full body apparition. And you're just like, oh, this is amazing. So I love stories like that. I was like, wow, I'm kind of a skeptic, but but also just like there's so much. I mean, I always love doing like ghost tours and stuff because there's just so much interesting history Right. So like you do a tour of like whatever you haunted Key West, and you actually just like learn all of these really interesting things. And it's often people who are very enthusiastic about history and the local lore. And you just get this really like lovely overview of a place that you just don't get when you're, just on like the regular tourist bus.
Yep.
You get to go into like the underground. You go into like the tunnels in Edinburgh, and it's just so great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I get it too. We speaking of like one of these ghost tours, I was back. We did a conference. We did a couple ghost tours, and part of our conference was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because I wouldn't say this is funny because I did my first paranormal investigation, right?
You
And
got
we went
to do it that same weekend.
Huh? I had two things happen to me the same weekend, which was really pretty cool. Okay. Well, I got to tell you, I'm not going to tell all of them. I'll just tell you this one. They're both kind of cool. We were,
we kind of want to hear both, don't we?
Well, a lot of the people, in the chat might have heard it, but anyways, I'll tell you this one though, Varla.
Okay.
Maybe both, who knows? We were at this Emmaus Village, right? And this is a very haunted place, right? I mean, a lot of things. And what is it, Krista? It's used to be a patients were in there too. Was that like
my gosh, it was everything from a Civil War hospital to an insane asylum.
Oh,
yeah. So,
mm-hmm.
So we were using we were going out through this thing at nighttime. Krista was back with Sir Brian. I was there with Paranormal Paul. Yeah,
me and Sir Brian, though, we were having weird things going on in the woods.
They were right when we were.
Where were you?
It's called Emmaus Village. It's in Marthasville, Missouri.
Okay.
So we were getting, Brian and I were getting Bigfoot howls and things like that. While they were
let's drivable from where I am. Actually.
Okay. Well,
where are you at?
You would like.
I'm in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Well, you have an open invitation. Just holler at me.
7-hour drive or something, but totally
just holler at me. You have an open invitation. Come on down.
Okay.
So no, this is this place has got it all. And I was also with like Greg Gogol. So it's nighttime, and so we're in there. So we're using these dowsing rods, and Natalie has some success with talking with spirits and things like that. And then I used them, and we went into this basement. First of all, this entire
I already
place,
love this story.
anyways, this entire place is creepy to begin with. We actually, one of our friends, Greg, thought he'd seen a ghost during the daytime up in a tower.
We just pulled up.
As we just pulled up.
Well,
he was adamant about it.
Yeah, he said that there was a person up there. And Jamie and I were arguing with him. We're like, there's nobody here. There's no living people here.
There's no living people in this place.
He's like, no, it was a real person.
Yes. And so Varla, so we're walking through this place and got these creepy vibes, and some not so creepy, and some were. So we're about an hour or so into it. So we go into this basement. And it's down these creaking stairs, we had to hang out of the staircase, So we get to the bottom. And so I'm gonna use the dowsing rods. And we have this on film. And so I'm standing there asking these questions. Cross the rods is yes, right? And then don't cross them is no, whatever it was. So I started doing this, and again, you cannot hear. This is in a basement, well below ground. It's soundproof, except for us speaking. And we all got a little chilly vibe. I mean, our skin was a little cooler than normal as we're walking through this. And it's weird. On some parts, it was warm. Some parts, it was cold. It was crazy. So I'm asking these questions. There's a couple, whatever they were. And then all of a sudden, we hear this growl. And you can hear it on audio. And you can see on the video where I'm like freak out. And everybody goes, did you hear that? And it was a distinct growl. And the dowsing rod, man, really went emphatic. It went like this. And then I asked, did you growl at us? Bzz. Yes. Do you want us to leave? Bzz. Yes. It was so cool.
So cool.
creepy, but cool.
Yeah,
creepy,
but
cool.
good,
creepy,
cool. Like
cool.
good creepy.
It was a creepy, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the first time I ever did something like that. And I got to tell you, I'm a junkie with that. Now it's like, oh my God, I want to do it all the time now because it was just, and I get it though, everybody. And Krista, you can attest to this. For 1 million hours of investigations, you might be lucky to get, 50 minutes of an encounter,
Yeah, sometimes things just don't happen. And then also things happen when you least expect them.
Well, this particular location, there's 300 acres there. And we've had everything from Bigfoot activity to UFOs in the sky. We've watched that. And then, of course, the paranormal. So it's active in every way.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite places to go.
Yeah. And I'll tell the other one since you're here, Varla.
Okay.
I know other people have heard. Other people have
asked. The people have asked.
Yeah, people have heard it, but some people have not. I know you haven't. So we are at the museum,
Ray County
Museum. And this is right where we had our conference. Actually, we had it here at this, place. And so I get there on a Wednesday. So I spend the night in this place, myself, Krista, and on Wednesday, our conference was Friday. So we spent like a whole week at this place. So I was in the upper quarters where I slept in this apartment room of this museum. And I'm laying out my bed. I'm setting up everything. And I have a pack of cigarettes, right? And I was told, if you want to have a smoker, I'll go out in this back veranda and have one because they turn on the alarm system and it's motion detected. Yeah, and you can't walk in any certain rooms because you'll set off the alarm.
You can't go out of the apartment.
Can't go out of the apartment because this place is a museum and they don't want people breaking in. So and there's a lot. Oh, and this place is cool. It's got everything from the Civil War to World War. I mean, it's got everything. You'd love this place, Varla. So anyway, I put my smokes down. I have a cigarette. I put them down on this nightstand right next to my bed, right next to the bed. Go to sleep. Get up in the morning. I don't think much of it. I get up and I go get some coffee. So I'm talking with Krista and the other and Kathy, who was the proprietor over here, or the administrator, curator. And so we're talking, and so I go back in because we're gonna go out and get some breakfast. So I go back in to grab my smokes, and they're gone. They're not on the nightstand. And so I'm like, okay, well, here's the thing. I get on my hands and knees and I'm looking around for these things. Did I knock off? It was too far away. I'm looking, can't find nothing.
And you're trying not to panic because you're like,
no, man, where'd they go? So I just mentioned it in casual conversation to the girls. Yeah, I don't know. I lost my.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you?
You said what? You probably
I told you to ask nicely.
Oh yeah, she did. This is the key part. She said, ask nicely, and they'll return them.
Okay.
Like, okay. So I go in my room, and yes, I did that. I said something like, okay, Mr. Whoever you are, could you please return these? Or something like that. So we leave, we go out to breakfast, meet a bunch of people, we're hanging out and this, that, and the other. So we go back now to the museum, and I go back to the room, and I'm looking to see if my cigarettes were returned. Well, they weren't. I'm like, well, whatever. So Kathy, and I think maybe Krista, you did too, and somebody said, Rob, come here. And so they're down this hallway off to the left.
It's the genealogy room.
Room, which again, this place was, there's no way I went in there because of the
alarm system.
The alarm, right.
It's like not allowed.
And they're looking at me, they're kind of smiling at me. And I go, what? I look in the room, and they're laying in the genealogy room. Standing straight up was my cigarettes.
Oh no.
Yes. So they got there, and it wasn't me. I don't sleepwalk. They weren't playing a prank on me.
That's the thing.
I would have set off the alarm if I did.
Went off.
Oh, that's amazing.
So they somehow, in between, sleep.
The cigarette somehow disappeared out of the apartment into the genealogy room.
And well, it's interesting because they chose something that you would absolutely notice.
Well, and here's the thing too.
You know what I mean? Like you're
Yeah.
not going to not notice if your cigarettes are missing.
One of the old
Right.
curators that lived in the apartment, this has been many years ago, he died out back of a heart attack, and he was a smoker. So, we're thinking
I'd have been like, hey,
maybe he wanted to smoke.
I'll take those.
Mhm.
I should have probably did an inventory. Oh, I had 10. There's 9 left.
I know, right? It's like, okay, go smoke
Yeah.
at least 3 of these. It wasn't me.
So, yeah, and there was a lot of other things, Varla. You got to check this
Oh,
place
how
out
cool.
too, because you would like the museum.
Museum's great.
It's entrenched with history,
Oh,
and it
so
is
cool.
totally haunted.
And what's
Super
the name of the town again that it's in?
It's
Krista,
in
I'll be right back.
Richmond,
Okay,
Missouri.
talk to her.
You're good,
I'll
Rob.
be right back.
Yeah, it's in Richmond, Missouri,
Richmond,
which
Missouri.
is closer to the Kansas City side.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an amazing place. There's 53 rooms there, and they're all decorated a different theme. So there's everything from, as Rob said, bless you, like the Civil War room. There's a Mormon room. There's Black History room. There's a grandma's kitchen, school rooms. So it's just every room is different, and all of the artifacts that's there has been donated to the museum from people of Ray County.
Oh, interesting. Do you live? Is that where you live?
I don't. I live outside St. Louis.
Okay. So interesting, because I should send you a copy of this zine that I wrote about a woman who is based in St. Louis who channeled a novel via the Ouija board.
Oh, wow.
I've actually been wanting to come down there and talk with the Historical Society, because I've put everything I know. I've been researching this woman like on and off for years, and I put everything I know about her in there. But there's this huge gap between when she was basically taken to court by the Harper brothers for claiming that Mark Twain wrote this novel via the Ouija board, and her death in 1960. Wow. There's a huge gap, and there's a couple of documents in the St. Louis Historical Society archives, because she was quite a socialite and successful author. And anyway, it's sort of on the back of my mind that I want to go down there and spend a week just digging through the archives.
Holler at me if you do. Holler at me when you do.
Absolutely.
We'll
I would love to. Yeah, that would be so fun.
Yep. And I can take you to Emmaus. It's not that far outside St. Louis.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
Yeah,
that would be great. So maybe, Rob, can you get me Krista's email or something like that? Because I want to
just give her my phone number, Rob.
Yeah,
I'll do that. I'll give her all her contact information.
Yeah, give exchange contact info, and then we can stay in touch. That would be lovely.
Yeah, you would like that place, Varla. It's right up your alley. I loved it. I definitely want to go back.
Yeah.
I did do a full-blown walkthrough. I walked through the whole place in every room.
Well, there's a huge history of spiritualism in St. Louis specifically, and in Missouri in general. And there were several publishing houses. They were kind of like what we would consider self-published at the time.
Right.
People starting these societies. One of the most famous channeled works by a woman named Pearl Coran. She channeled Patience Worth and wrote all of these novels. And she was St. Louis, and she was friends with Emily Grant Hutchings, who's the woman at the center of the story that I wrote. And she's the one who channeled the ghost of Mark Twain. And so there's deep St. Louis psychic turn of the century history that I am kind of obsessed with. So
come on down.
Okay. Probably won't be in the winter though. I'm not getting on the road in the winter, but spring when it's nicer down there, March when it's beautiful down there and it's still freezing up here, then I'll cruise down there.
Yeah. Anytime.
You'll definitely enjoy it. And really quickly, I want to thank Mark Zehammer, Paranormal Blog, and Miranda for your awesome super chats. Thank you so much for that. Love you guys. Always appreciated. Donations not expected, but always appreciated. Our pirates tonight, everybody. Join the many, join the few. That's right. So, so Varla, we're going to change gears a little bit.
Yeah.
Another one of my favorites for Halloween and in general is werewolf.
Yes, the time has come.
Time has come. Before we get, let me ask you, what's your general thought of the werewolf? Exist, don't exist, myth, part
Exist.
of folklore?
Exist. I'm in love with.
Very good. Let's do this.
Done. Totally exist. I think, versions of Dogman and all of that. I think those are all those are werewolves. Different incantations of werewolves. So there's a couple of things. First of all, there's an idea that was put forth in the mid 1800s by a man named Sabine Baring Gould, and he was a reverend and a songwriter. He wrote the hymnal "Onward, Christian Soldiers," and he was also a believer in werewolves. And he put together the most comprehensive book on werewolf lore in the world to date. I think he wrote it in 1858. Because he was a reverend, he traveled to all of these countries. So he went to Russia, he went to Finland, he went to Scandinavia, he went to Sweden and Austria and Germany. And he compiled all of these stories, kind of like the Grimm brothers were gathering the stories, or like William Butler Yeats was gathering stories in Ireland. He was gathering, but his focus was werewolves. But he was also a reverend. So he had his own agenda, and he was a pontificator and a deep, deep thinker. So this massive book called Werewolves is a thick read, is how I'll put it. It's a thick read. There's a lot to it, and some of it will make you mad, actually. Made me mad. But he makes some pretty incredible points. And one of the points that he makes that has haunted me since I read it, 15 years ago, is that we are all capable of shape-shifting into werewolves, because we as humans have this capacity in us to murder, have this capacity in us to sort of like go beyond anger into something else. And he actually talks about what he calls evil people and cruel people, and that cruel people with cruel minds are susceptible, are even more vulnerable to becoming the most beastly version of a werewolf that could be. And he brings up serial killers. He brings up, it's like, people who can't just stop themselves, and these mass murderers. So he brings this up as like a point to say, you've been mad, you've seen red, you've been so pissed off that you all you can think of in that moment is murder, just for a moment, but you can reel it back. The person of the weak mind, the cruel mind, he says, cannot reel it back, and therefore they have the capacity to shapeshift into the most they'll turn into the most known hideous beast. And for many, that is the werewolf. And you can actually find this book, Patty, and anyone else who's listening, if you go to Gutenberg.org, and I highly suggest making a little donation there. This is a free website that has facsimiles of scanned, basically facsimiles meaning scanned copies of original works. All of these things are in the public domain. And if you type in werewolves, and I believe it's spelled WERWOLVES, so it's missing that extra E that we put in it today. You can find this work. It's a thick read, but you can kind of read between the lines, and it's pretty fascinating. So I've drawn on his work a lot, just in terms of kind of collecting the folklore and things. And but that has always struck me, the idea that I have been that mad, and I'll tell you what, you come near my kid, I will go to that next stage, right? Like I absolutely will. And I don't care what happens. Like,
right.
That's the next stage. So it's interesting to think about that, like sort of murderous rage. Combine that with the idea of actual shape-shifting and shape-shifting as a means of connecting with the wild natural world in order to gain favor with it and protection and power from it. So you have examples of this from around the world. You have the berserkers, the fierce Norse warriors who would put themselves into a frenzy, and they would transform often into either werewolves or werebears. So they would basically put themselves into this frame of mind that they were not coming back from battle. They were going full in with all of the power of a beast. So you have like that aspect of it. Now, I will say not all werewolves, like there are helpful werewolves out there. So it's not all about like the ferociousness, but it is about that balance between man and beast and how closely related we really are. So there's that. And then there is a man named Elliot O'Donnell, and he is a fascinating character because I spent a lot of time reading these volumes of forgotten lore. And when you do that, you spend a lot of time reading between the lines. You know that people have an agenda. The Reverend's got an agenda. Most of these stories were recorded by white men of the cloth because well-educated, usually with a religious upbringing, because that's who could actually afford to travel and write. This wasn't like most people had like other labors on their agenda. So you always have to take these things with it. And there were also some women who were doing it. But they were a little fewer and farther between. But nonetheless, you have to take all of these things with a grain of salt. You have to think about the context of the times, what was going on historically in that country, blah, 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 of course. But then there's this guy, Elliot O'Donnell, and he just comes on the scene. He starts publishing in about 1900. And in 1912, he puts out the Book of Werewolves. And the thing about Elliot O'Donnell, Irish author, and he was raised in England. He was Irish born. And unlike all of these other writers at the time, at least in my experience, and I have read many of them, they all come at it as I'm going to record the stories of the peasantry. Elliot O'Donnell was an experiencer. He had the O'Donnell family had a banshee. He lived in a haunted house as a child. And he was a beautiful writer. So his writing is completely different and his accounts are totally different. He doesn't impose his agenda on it. He simply records as told to him things. But because he doesn't have that added layer of, I'm going to just call it snobbery. And I'm not dogging William Butler Yeats. I'm freaking in love with William Butler Yeats. If he walked into this room, the ghost of him walked in this room, I would probably lick his feet. Let's be honest.
Oh, okay.
Come on. Or something else. I don't know. But I'm just saying, I'm just saying he has this like other element to him that I've not seen in that early 20th century writing. It has this other layer to it. And so he wrote the Book of Werewolves. And in the Book of Werewolves, there are many, many, many secrets that he has gathered. And among those secrets, there are multiple rituals and spells to become a werewolf. And they are written in it's like Lovecraft. It reads like Lovecraft. Minus the othering and the racism. It reads like Lovecraft. And
so what would be the point of somebody wanting to become a werewolf?
Oh, wouldn't you?
No, not at all.
I just kind of want to like be with a werewolf, I think. I don't know, there's lots of advantages. Like if you have any control over it, if you have control, so a lot of people look at werewolves and they feel sorry for them because it's usually like this curse. We're told it's a curse, right? And they're sort of just like sucked into this thing and they have no control over it. But the idea, and really just in reading this book, like the idea of like the agency of becoming a werewolf yourself in order to tap into the great power and the great darkness and the great power of the wolf to transform as you see fit. It's a black, there's a dark black magic element to it, but it also is this very like different approach and very empowering approach. Gotcha. So I don't think being a werewolf is for everyone, you know.
Well, you don't want to be that ferocious killer, right?
I think I just like want to be with a werewolf, and I'll just like stick to the witchery, you know.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you. That's I guess it would be fascinating for a woman to be with a werewolf, but I will ask you this.
But there are a lot of she-wolves, so don't go gender bias on me here. There are many instances.
I'm not going to do that.
Many instances of she-wolves.
I'm going to ask you this really quickly, though, before we move on, because we're going to keep this same subject going on. I know you got more to say on this, but I did have to ask you, and this would be like another 3-hour show, which we're not going to get into this, because we all know about shapeshifters, this, that, and the other. Let me ask you, though, is that more of a metaphysical thing, or is that dark magic conjuring? Because I got to ask you, me, Robbie, I'm walking down the street, and I turn into a werewolf. Let's just say, I axe was put on me, and I shift. To me, that would be it. Because I've heard a lot of people say, a lot of people shape shift into a werewolf. What it does to your body, you're probably not going to come back and be a human. So is it a different out-of-body experience? I don't think can a physical man become shape shift into a werewolf?
God, I hope so.
So you thought, yeah. But do you know what I'm saying, though?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying, though?
So, well, I don't think there is a difference between it being I guess what you're talking about is it metaphysical or like beyond your control versus being within your control and ritual. And here is what I will say based on my medium to limited knowledge of lycanthropy.
Right.
There are lots of ways to become a werewolf. There are accidental ways. There are inherited ways. There are ritualistic ways. There are curses. Wow. There are many ways to become a werewolf. In fact, at the end of the month for the Ancestral Pathways Conference, I've put together a talk, and it's all the ways that you can become a werewolf. There's the glove method where you get slapped with a wolfskin glove. There's the, I was born from, one of my parents was a werewolf. There's multiple rituals. There's slurping the water from a lycanthropic stream. There's eating lycanthropic plants. The idea, though, with the werewolf is that it's a temporary state in order to gain something, probably knowledge or power from the other worlds. And then you return, but you will never return the same. Okay. Just like any hero that goes on a quest into the underworld, right? You're going to come back. You come back and you still got your nice little like shirt on and you got your shield, but you're never going to be the same. And I personally, I can really relate to that. I think I relate to that a lot right now in my life because I am now on the other side of, I'm now in remission from a big cancer, from being diagnosed with cancer. And I feel that process of like, you know what? I'm not the same person I was 6 months ago. I'm not the same person I was when I was facing this dark belly of the beast.
Sure.
And you come back differently with different knowledge. And so I kind of understand that like transformation aspect of it. So some of it is like, you could look at it in a very like, I guess, metaphysical or also like kind of psychological way. But I do think there's like a big physical aspect to it. And I honestly, when I was putting together this talk, I was surprised how many rituals and deliberate ways that people were choosing people. Who knows how many people actually were choosing this, but these are rituals just like, you would, I don't know, you become a dark wizard. You could actually tap into becoming a werewolf, and it's amazing. Like, I have a very, very specific spell for you. It's it tells you how wide the circle should be. You don't find that very often in witches are very known for disguising things. Ingredients are listed as something else. Things are given in vagary because it was really about kind of like passing on the basics, but you usually learn these directly from a person. And it was a means of protection because, one, you wouldn't get the wrong people involved because they're not going to put the fat of a newborn babe into the recipe. And two, which of course you weren't actually doing that, but it was a deterrent. And two, you also could kind of it was a secret code. It was a secret language. I mean, a lot of those, eye of newt and toe of dog, those were the language that witches could use to pass on ingredients and locations and places without being caught.
Gotcha. Real quick, Jojo asked if you've ever met a werewolf.
I think I did very recently in Massachusetts. Yeah, I can't prove it, but I feel this person was very different the night of the full moon, let's just say.
Okay. Interesting.
Really?
Can you tell us a little more about it, or?
They're just like major behavioral changes.
Okay.
But I also was having some major behavioral changes that night. So it was just a weird vibe. I didn't spend a lot of time with them. So, but I had just been fixating on werewolves for like the last month. So I feel like I had like my werewolf radar up. And
I just actually had a werewolf. I just got a werewolf tattooed on my leg.
You did? Yeah. This is our time. This is werewolf time.
Yep, I sure did. Absolutely. Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. Very interesting, though.
Yeah. I won't name any names, but I'll let you know in 2 years.
I do want to congratulate you too.
There.
And Varla, I do want to congratulate you also on your remission, which you got going on your journey.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Well, I found it. I did.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you.
So you're welcome. No problem. Continuing on though, this is very interesting. So you think that I even remember different lore, different stories about werewolves, and not all werewolves are bitten.
Right.
Moon,
no.
Right?
The bite is actually that is absolutely a misnomer. The bite is rare. In fact, the curse is more. The bite is like that. Vampires do the bite.
Yes.
The curse is more like, okay, so like a witch or a practitioner of dark magic could curse you to become a werewolf. This is like one of the ways you can become a werewolf. You could be born to someone who is cursed with this lycanthropic tendencies. And of course, so werewolves are like, not always beastly. So there's all kinds of, there's countless stories in folklore of like supernatural beings and humans marrying and having children. There's evidence, there's stories of that in the Bible, to be honest with you, like angelic beings and humans getting it on, and then, strange creatures are born from it. So, I'm sorry, I got sidetracked by that.
I was sidetracked from the licking part earlier.
Yeah. So, yes. So, there are also, again, so there you could be born into it, and then you could seek it. And it is now a time that I can share this this ritual with everyone?
You can.
And they can.
I don't have an objection to it.
Because this is actually my cat. My cat might have an objection to it. Don't you start. Okay. So there's a couple different ways. Okay. So let me just tell you about lycanthropic streams. And so lycanthropic stream, what the heck does that mean? So lycanthropy, it's the means of becoming a werewolf, right? So it's basically the term that means that you've transformed. And a lycanthropic stream means it's water of some kind that transforms you into a beast. And these were feared. There are a few brain-eating amoeba that we can identify today that may have contributed to this fear. Of course, there's always that kind of scientific element. It's like, oh, yep, you're slurping up water from this stream that's full of this Nigella that is basically just going to eat your brain and turn you into a murderous, beast. So that could have something to do with the lycanthropic streams. But this is how you identify a lycanthropic stream. And this is actually taken, let's see, this is the lycanthropic stream taken from Elliot O'Donnell. Oh, sorry, there's the skin and gloves. There's so many ways, but this is directly from his book. Okay. So he says, how to identify a lycanthropic stream? Oh, no, I didn't print the right page. My bad. Okay, so basically how to identify a lycanthropic stream, I'll just paraphrase. It has a sulfuric smell. So it has a very extreme smell. It's a place that horses won't cross and dogs will not drink from. And it's often at the bottom of a basin with large trees around it. These are all hallmarks of lycanthropic streams. And actually, interestingly, O'Donnell also talks about antidotes to lycanthropy in plants that grow near these streams. So keep in mind that this could also be used as a ritual, again, to tap into primal knowledge and to transform oneself and perhaps bring something back to the group that you live in to really benefit. That's why you journey into the underbelly. You don't journey in the underbelly because you're just curious. You do it because you're trying to save someone, save your village. There's some kind of quest there. So going to the other side, have you ever taken hallucinogens? It's a quest, right? It's a quest. If you do it correctly, you can lose your mind. If done correctly, you can gain a great deal of knowledge. So it's part of that kind of ritual. So anyway, since it's the new moon, let me just share this one with you, because I know people are just dying to know. They can save this on YouTube and they can memorize the words or whatever. So I know we always think of werewolves on the full moon, but this is actually a new moon variation of a spell that you can find in Elliot O'Donnell's Book of Werewolves. And so step one, you have to go somewhere incredibly remote, right? So somewhere very isolated. It doesn't have to be the woods. It could be the top of a mesa. It could be in the middle of the desert. But you need to go to a place where darkness can find you, where the dark forces can find you uninterrupted. Okay, that's very important. So he says the powers you're tapping into can only be found in places solitary. This is not for the faint of heart. We here at BMR Radio, we do not endorse anybody.
We do not endorse this. It's information for informational purposes.
This is for entertainment purposes only.
Right.
Okay. So now it's the darkness of a new moon. Perfect. Now you're out in the middle of nowhere. Also perfect. Okay. So you find a nice level place, and all of these rituals call for this about the same size circle, which is very interesting. And he says, quote, a perfectly level piece of ground, and on it at midnight, mark with chalk or string which you of course have remembered to bring, of not less than 7 feet in radius, a circle. And within this, and from the same center, another circle of 3 feet in radius. So you're doing at least 7, and they're always 7 to 9 feet in radius. Every single one of these spells, 7 to 9 feet in radius. And then most of them call for an inner circle about 3 feet in radius. Okay. Guess what you put in the middle of that center circle?
No idea.
You build a fire, and then you put upon it an iron vessel full of water that is boiling, right? So you build a fire, you put your cauldron on there, and then as soon as the water begins to boil, of course, you've gathered all these recipes. You have to have a you will need card for this, right? You will need an iron vessel, firewood, chalk, string. And you will also need, he says, as soon as the water begins to boil, the would-be lycanthropist must throw into it handfuls of any 3 of the following substances: asafoetida, parsley, opium, hemlock, henbane, saffron, aloe, poppy seed, and solanum. So solanum being, oh my God, my cat's going crazy. He's actually trying to open the door right now. He's like trying to get the door. All right, I'm going to ignore him. Okay, so solanum being deadly nightshade or something in the nightshade family. Opium, of course, being poppy.
Right.
Hemlock, you know what that is, poison hemlock. Parsley could also be referring to water parsley, which is another kind of poison hemlock. Asafoetida is an herb that has this really intense sulfuric smell. It's almost like a really, really strong garlic, but I've researched it, and it turns out that it is a complementary herb that allows you to use less poison than you would need in order to get the effectiveness. So in other words, you could get the hallucinogenic effects of henbane without poisoning yourself if you mix asafoetida in there. Okay, so you throw all those things in, and then as you do this, you repeat these words. Now you're going to have to bear with me because this is the long part, and I think we have just enough time, right?
Yeah.
Just enough time. Spirits from the deep who never sleep, be kind to me. Spirits from the grave, without a soul to save, be kind to me. Spirits of the trees that grow upon the leaves, be kind to me. Spirits of the air, foul and black, not fair, be kind to me. Water spirits, hateful, to ships and bathers, faithful, be kind to me. Spirits of earthbound dead that glide with noiseless tread, be kind to me. Spirits of heat and fire, destructive in your ire, be kind to me. Spirits of cold and ice, patrons of crime and vice, be kind to me. Wolves, vampires, satyrs, ghosts, elect all the devilish hosts. I pray you send hither, send hither, send hither, the great gray shape that makes men shiver, shiver, shiver. Come, come, come. Now you take off your vest, and then you, or to quote Eliot, the supplicant then takes off his vest and shirt and basically smears it with the fat of some animal, ideally freshly killed, and mixed with camphor and opium, of course, and the herbs that are boiling in this pot. And then you bind, this is common in werewolf transformation. You make a girdle of the skin of a wolf or sometimes of another animal, and you wear that around your waist. And while you do that, you wait. And you wait, and you kneel down, and you wait for the unknown. And as soon as the fire burns blue, that is the moment in which the unknown arrives. And he describes the unknown, and this is where we get very Lovecraft. Sometimes it appears in the shape of merely an arm reaching through the darkness. Other times it appears as a great shimmering wolf. And other times still, it's a cylinder of darkness.
Oh, wow.
So basically what happens at this point is you freak yourself out and you run screaming from this isolated place and you run all the way home and you vow you will never mess with dark forces again and you will never go back to those woods until the sun sets the next day. And then you are compelled. And over a series of days, you begin to transform into a werewolf. The end.
Yes. I'm gonna have to replay that. Write down the ingredients. Now I tell you what, man, I'd be like, with all the narcotics seems like involved, it'd be like, you have one of those
so many things involved. Yeah. No, it's easy to lose your mind. Yeah.
And that's what they do. That's what the Indians suggested when they were on peyote, right? When they were visiting the spirit world. But there's other things involved with it as well.
Yes.
Varla, I like that. This was a great show for the start of the Halloween season started for me October 1st. But we started
season started for me November 1st of last year.
Yeah, well, it's always Halloween at Varla. Right? Always Halloween at Varla. I got Varla's this been throughout the chat. Go check out Varla Ventura.net, www. You guys just go click on it and check out all our books and everything. Varla, it's always a great show when you come on. I always learn something. And,
thank you. I was very excited to have all this werewolf content.
Yeah, no, I liked it. It was very cool. It was very cool. So, are you doing any more tours or anything? I know you just got done. I believe, and you still got some other things coming up.
I've got a couple of things coming up. I'm doing a talk at a little shop here in the Twin Cities area this Saturday. So if you are local to Minnesota, I'll be in Maple Plain, Minnesota at the Vintage Storyteller doing a little talk about the Witch's Garden. And then I've got another Massachusetts thing lined up, but that will be in the spring. I am desperately trying to finish my manuscript right now and will be coming up with more events after that. Yeah. Also hockey season here, and I have a hockey playing son. So
yeah. Now, is he still playing goalie?
Oh yeah, once a goalie, forever a goalie. Yeah. You cannot.
Thank you, Quack.
Yeah.
Thank you to Quack. And
thanks, Quack.
Yeah, Quack. Also thanks to Miranda Crew. Yes, Miranda, get with me. I'll get that book out to you. We'll work it out. Paranormal Vlog Team, Boots on the Ground. Thank you for that. And of course, Mark Z Hammer. Thanks to everybody for coming in. Today, of course, is Tuesday, the beginning of our week. Well, really Monday for our podcast.
It's only Tuesday.
It's only Tuesday.
Tuesday. I know, right?
It's a long.
I take it all back.
Yeah, long day for me. I was up late last night watching the Lions, but it was always good. They won, so. Yeah. And Krista, we've got what do you? Oh, it's okay. Thank you. So today's Tuesday. Krista, what you got going on? Anything good this week?
So tomorrow after Brandy's show on Blondes, then Paul and we have Half Insurance Crew, which they're in chat. So cool. They're the guests tomorrow night. And then Thursday for 4 Blondes, 1 mystery at a time. You'll have to tune in to figure out what we're going to talk about on that one.
Okay. Good. I like that. Get people
fun.
Hook people.
On, Blondes and Booze. Right after that, we have a friend, Spooky Dookie Paranormal. So they're going to come on and chat with Brandy and I. And then Friday, of course, there's no show this week next week. Yeah, no Blondes shows on Friday night.
I've got a great guest with Thursday. I've got a guest with Monica. We're talking all paranormal and things with author Rob Guyton. He's awesome. Just met him not too long ago. That'll be a fun paranormal type topic show. All bunch of his investigations and hauntings. So we're going to keep it Halloween and spooky through the rest of the month here. Varla, it's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Stay backstage for a moment because I know Krista will probably bug out, but I'll give you some a couple of things I want to send you. Okay.
And give her my number too.
And I can cut you loose, bro. So hang out back for a moment.
Friends forever, Krista.
There you go.
There you go. Thanks to everybody. Hit that like button, everybody. Don't forget to turn on that alert bell. It's always a pleasure with Varla. Thanks once again. Thanks to all of you for coming on in.
Yep. Thank you, everybody.
With that being said, I just got to find the button.
Sorry. Yeah. Find the button.
I gotta find the button here, and here we go.
All right.
Varla, hang out for a minute.
Okay.
Krista, hello, everybody. Hit the like button. Texas front porch in about 25 minutes.
Nice.